I think for quite some time now, Proxima have been selling one of the very best value for money watches you can buy on AliExpress. This is the PX1691, which you've probably never seen or heard of. And there's actually a very good reason for that, because in the listing on AliExpress, they've combined two very similar watches. This one and another watch which houses either the PT5000 or SW200. So at a glance, the listing looks like it's for another automatic PT5000 SW200 powered all stainless steel sports watch, but in fact this watch costs $130 or $99 on a leather strap. It represents incredible value for money. If you're interested, stick around. I'm going to head over to the Lightbox and tell you everything you need to know. And this is the reason why this watch is so affordable when compared to the other two very similar looking automatic versions. This is the Seiko VH31 quartz movement. The second hand ticks 4 times every second, which is why automatic watch lovers actually quite like this movement, because you don't get that horrible issue where the second hand misses the markers because it's ticking 4 times every second. So yeah, a fantastic pick up and go watch this, because, well, it's got a battery in it, and yeah, it's always going to be, well, until the battery runs out, it's always going to tell, hopefully, the right time. Close enough anyway, plus minus 15 seconds a month. And there are other reasons why this watch represents particularly good value for money, even when compared to other AliExpress watches. It's a Proxima, so you know the build quality is going to be pretty good. Their steel finishing may not be the best, may not be quite up there with San Martin and perhaps Chronos, but it's still very, very good. Decent materials used, 316L stainless steel, sapphire crystal with strong AR coating, screw down case back, screw down crown. Yeah, it's just a good looking, well spec'd watch. A fantastic, like I said, pick up and go watch. And look at that second hand ticking multiple times per second. Okay, it's got quartz written on the dial. We can look past that. I mean, there's a unicorn on it, for goodness sake. So yeah, if we can look past the unicorn, we could definitely look past the word quartz. Oh, I wish it didn't have a unicorn on it. But anyway, yeah, it's, well, great watch. And a really interesting case, actually. I wasn't expecting this. I thought I'd seen one of their watches with this case, but this is actually the first time I have seen this case from Proxima. Large polished surfaces, top and bottom, with a very fine brushed surface separating those two polished areas. Quite a bit of polishing on it, actually. Some brushing on the top, polished bezel. Looks, yeah, fairly nicely done, doesn't it? And yeah, those lugs sort of dive down, very reminiscent of another very famous watch, to the solid end links, fitted end links, and yeah, I think they look quite good. This bracelet's okay, it's not the best, and the links are quite long. The clasp, though, impressive. I like this clasp. It's not signed, that's not the end of the world, but it feels really, really nice. 5 micro adjusts, and it just seems beautifully finished. Milled inner elements. Look, yeah, I think it's very similar to the clasp that San Martin are using, actually. Yeah, very, very similar. But yeah, it just feels like a quality watch. Now I've zoomed in so we can have a closer look at the dial and the hands and those applied indices and the finishing on the case, which actually looks all right. Zoomed in like this, I've zoomed in quite a bit, and yeah, it actually seems fairly streak-free, that polished bezel. And yeah, the sides of the case seem nicely done. The separation between the polishing and the brushing, look, little bit of over brushing at the top there, so it's not the best. It's definitely not up there with San Martin and Chronos, but it is you know, a very nicely finished watch. And look at the hands. Yeah, high polished chamfered edges running down the side of those Dauphine hands, a fairly coarse brushing on top, and you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? Capped seconds hand. Look at that. Beautiful seconds hand as well. Oh man, the applied indices look nicely done also. Not the sharpest or the most crisply finished ones, but they seem fairly bright. And yeah, an enamel dial, and I've mentioned it before. Enamel dials, they're not just your basic simple dials. There's definitely more that goes into producing an enamel dial to get that sort of glossy, reflective finish, which is almost being ruined by this super strong AR coating. I mean, it's unbelievable, that AR coating. Yeah, no loom on this one. There is loom on the other watches that house the PT5000 and SW200. No loom on this one, but if there was, it would be amazing because Proxima loom is also incredible. Yeah, what a watch for $130. I am, yeah, really, really impressed. And here it is then on my roughly average sized wrist. I think it looks pretty good. I love the look of this watch. Just a beautiful, simple, fairly clean, crisp, classic looking watch. Love white dials at the moment. Can't get enough of watches with white dials. And yeah, it's very comfortable. Good weight distribution all the way around. Milled clasp, solid links in the bracelet. Not too much weight in the case. It sits a little bit high, look, considering there's a quartz movement inside, but not too high. Yeah, lots of micro adjustment as well, so I've managed to get pretty much perfect fit. So $130 for this watch on this bracelet, or $99 for this watch on a leather strap. I've not seen the leather strap, but of course I would recommend always picking this watch up, or any watches like this on the stainless steel bracelets. I mean, an extra $30 for this bracelet is really, really good value. Okay, it's got split pins, but I think that's about the only weakness. Perhaps a signature either on the clasp or the crown might help to give this watch a slightly less sterile look, but it's got a signed case back look with some specifications on it. So yeah, and there are a few weaknesses. I've already mentioned a couple just there. Slightly sterile look to it. Split pins, not really a weakness, is it, when you're talking $130 for this watch? No loom on the dial. That's a bit of a shame, but it's a fairly dressy, go anywhere, do anything sport watch. So yeah, perhaps a little bit of loom might have been nice. Got quartz on the dial. That might put a few people off. I'm not a fan of the unicorn logo. Is the AR coating a touch too strong? It might be, especially when you consider there's a white dial, so it's very, very obvious, isn't it? Yeah, maybe they just need to tone it down. Sometimes less is more. What else in terms of weaknesses? Oh, I think that's about it, really. I mean, $130. You don't get much for $130 these days. This is now the third watch I've reviewed from AliExpress containing this movement. The first one, of course, which started it all off, is the Exciton time dress watch. Then San Martin released, I think it was a field watch with the VH31. Of course, San Martin watches a little bit of a premium, but this one for me is probably the pick of the bunch. And that dress watch is nice by escapement time, but this is a watch I would wear far, far more often. Yeah, and I just prefer the look of it. It's a bit more sporty. Right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments section. Have they nailed it? I think so.